Hello and welcome back to Media and More. And we are on the final episode of The Acolyte titled The Acolyte. So I am your host, the mediocre modeler.
And this is Andre from Indie Arts Midwest. Thank you
And
for joining us.
how you doing? Are we good? Are we fired up?
Oh yes, I'm
Mm.
ready to get this squared away.
But I love your choice of words, squared away. So I guess all we can do is just start getting into it. One of the last things we were talking about from the last episode, when Soul gets May on the table, he just lays her on the table with Pip in her pocket still.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
No forethought.
What person restrains another person with their weapons or tools still on them? Because I was just like, she's gonna get out of there. And you know what? I'm even mad at Pip in this one. It's just like, dude, how you gonna work for the bad guys now?
He's hard reset, so he's
I
not Pip
know.
anymore.
Well,
He's
she
her
still
Pip.
calls him Pip. She's her
Yeah.
Pip. Yeah, yeah.
I should have
So
known that was gonna happen.
yeah, I
And
mean,
it kind of goes into what you were saying about why you don't like him and he's too versatile.
yeah,
And it shows like they needed a MacGuffin to get her out of this sticky situation. Ugh.
yeah. So well, okay. We added another feature to Pip,
Mhm.
stun gun.
Yeah,
You know, how did
right.
how did how did he know that she wanted him to, you know, shock him, or not? Maybe not stun gun. Taser,
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 yeah.
space taser. So, so she gets loose. She goes running down the hall, and she gets in the escape shuttle thing,
Yeah.
and so,
What'd you think of that scene? Or
that whole sequence, the chase sequence.
yeah.
Okay, first of all, before we even get there, as she's locking the door, she goes, "See you in hell, Jedi."
Yeah.
Okay, so that is, to me, as a direct reference for Han Solo back in on Hoth, where the guy's like, your tauntaun will freeze before you get to the first marker. Then I'll see you in hell." And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay. So that was the first thing. But she gets in the shift and she takes off. Um, I think it was a very pretty scene. It looked
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Yeah. It also got really ridiculous really fast.
Yeah. So, so what's your ridiculousness?
Um, just the safety precautions, like I mean, I like that part. He's not gonna follow us in here, and then
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, well, you're wrong.
Right. Well, okay. And so I was thinking the same thing. I'm just like, these planets with these beautiful rings have been here for millions of years, and here you come with your ships plowing ruts
Right.
in the rings. Just like, you don't have the right to do that.
I mean, the ship
So
was complaining and just blaring alarms the moment she got in there,
yeah,
and then I mean, I guess
but
you
she
could
was
also
doing a
say
pretty
she's
good.
a really good pilot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. She was
So
doing a
there's
real good
that. But,
avoiding.
we haven't really seen any piloting prowess throughout most of the
Right. Okay.
show. So,
So
mm,
here's the indication. Your indication that you're off the rails is when Basil is against you.
oh, I know, right?
Because he's going, "Hey, what's going on here?" And he actually sabotages Soul's ship.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure you
Like, whose
had the
side are you
scanner.
on?
But okay, so it wasn't clear what he was trying to do because he clicked the scanner on and it showed her ship in front of him, and it was like getting closer, and he was getting ready to do something.
Hmm.
I don't know if he's got a tractor beam. I don't know if he was gonna, shoot the engines, and
That's what I thought he was going to do. Disable the
yeah,
engines or an engine.
and yeah. So we don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but Basil's just like, this isn't right. does whatever, and then obviously he would have to go and hide somewhere.
Still, I don't know whose side he's on. No
You know,
one's.
Basil's on Basil's side.
There you go.
He's a tracker. You know, and unfortunately, that's the long and short of his character. I mean, he's a one-trick
Right.
pony.
Oh
His
yeah.
only job is to track.
And do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. That too.
So, you know you're in trouble if he starts to sniffing.
Oh yeah.
So, okay. But, okay. He pulls off. Okay. It looked kind of like when his ship started to roll within the rings, the field, because it kind of pitched to the side and it rolled like it were on the ground. She shoots out and gets into, she gets control, and she hits the ground really hard. I am surprised she even survived that crash.
I viewed it as the softest landing ever.
Really?
That's how I saw it. I'm like,
it looked like it's it.
Yeah, it's like she just like fell in some
Welcome,
snow
dear
or
audience,
something.
to the-
It was so graceful. Most other, I think that OSHA's crash down to the planet seemed a lot more detrimental than what we saw with that. I don't know. Maybe the ship's controls kind of helped that from happening, but yeah, that was to me personally, that was a soft landing.
Okay, well, it didn't look very soft to me, but so we get back up to where they're landed on the planet.
They're on Brendok,
right?
Yeah,
they're on Brendok. Thank you. And Soul is just still kind of broken up, but he's just so upset. He did reveal, he tried to say something to May about their birth and saying, you're not sisters. And then you don't, but you were created, and there's a virgins on the planet, and I have to prove it. And I'm like, what is your obsession with this? I'm not understanding. What difference does it make now?
Yeah, you make a good point. And yeah, I mean, like if the council was really trying to push for this, that'd be one thing, but maybe it would have helped kind of feed into everything that happened in the past. Like it just so many questions unanswered that now we're left with this weird mystery.
They don't even. I can understand if somewhere along the line they were still trying to deal with this virgins, but it's like once they left Brendok, it was dropped. It was forgotten.
Right.
They were done.
Right.
So
it's an interesting, concept though. But yeah, you're right. If the council wasn't too worried about it afterward, then yeah, you're just grasping at straws at this point.
So I don't know. I struggle to see his motivation.
Yeah, because even if he found proof, I mean, what are they going to do with that information? They're not going to feed into it. There's so much other stuff going on that they're trying to establish right now. And I just don't, not enough info to care.
Now, there's not enough info to care. So Vernestra, so it flashes over to Vernestra talking with her. No, she's talking to someone else, and they were talking about the council, a senator wanting to do like a independent investigation on the council.
Yes.
And so
he doesn't like it.
Yeah, and that keeps creeping, rearing its ugly head. So you had just made the comment that this is the first episode where you're kind of like Master Vernestra.
Yeah. I think her acting was better in this episode. And it shows, at least let me look at my notes to make sure I'm on the right side. Because that's when she speaks with the senator guy. And, that defining line, where it's like, we're trying to do this, and in his presence when he came in, because it's like he clearly does not like them. And he did give some valid reasons on why And so to see her defend, what they believe versus what he's trying to just push him out of the way.
Well,
So it was really cool.
I guess the first thing that got me, her Padawan is kind of incompetent. She's
Yeah,
just
I have my notes right here. Say Vanestra's Padawan is kind of a dumbass. Like that's what I had to write. Yes,
yeah,
you said it nice. You were
because
very nice about it.
she was like, okay, the senator's here to see you. Just like, where he's at. Where is he? You're just like, well, he's in the control room. You let him in the control room, and he's just like, oh, oh, and she just like, just, but what got me, they had their conversation,
Yeah.
and he was like, how is your stomach? It's not my stomach, it's my head that with the hyperspace. So clearly he's got some background information on her,
Yeah.
and they have their little tete-a-tete. But what got me was when she said to him, just like, okay, well, do you have any more questions, or are we done here? And then she opens the door with the force, just like,
Yes.
that's your exit to leave, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time to go.
Just more
But
stuff like that would have been
yeah,
really cool.
well, but he had to get that last dig in, and just like, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you Jedi say? May the force be with you. And he just kind of had that look like, yeah. I'm just
Mhm.
like,
It's funny.
force choke that dude.
Yeah. There's a handful of actors that when I see them, I'm like, oh, I know what role you're going to be playing. Like
Oh yeah,
and your agent only picks certain roles for you, doesn't he? Like doesn't really
right.
you stick to your wheelhouse and that's fine. But yeah, there's a couple of like that the military guy from Man of Steel. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He always every role he always has to get some
It-
kind of like high government job general guy where he gets
well,
to yell at
because
people because he likes to yell at people.
was
So
that
that's his
didn't
thing.
he play the general guy in the Matrix, and the was it the second Matrix, or because he was,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes, he
yeah,
did.
yes,
Oh,
he
I
did. Yeah,
forgot
that's
about
you're
that.
right. That's
Yeah.
his character.
So when I see that guy in movies, he kind of, he does somewhat kind of the same thing, but that's fine. That's fine. I just know
So
what to expect when I see them.
I guess I've never seen him in anything else, or he didn't stand out to me as someone I had seen before. But yeah, I mean, he definitely kind of showed. I
Oh
guess
yeah.
my question is, okay, I'm not sure if I like or buy that because he had made the comment about, well, you Jedi are trying to control the uncontrollable,
Hmm.
and Vanessa was like, well, nobody, we don't control the force. It's just like, I'm not talking about the force, I'm talking about your emotions.
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't, I'm not sure if I,
He
why
did
would,
kind of make a good point to some
yeah,
degree. I mean, there is a
he
chance that
did.
someone could, you know, lose control, but I do understand from her angle where it's like we
Well,
train against that kind of thing here. That would be the other guys whom we don't talk about.
the thing about it is, you know, he was just like, everybody else in the Senate or whatever looks up to them like gods, and who's going to go against them. But it seems like they're always fighting that same fight of, we're not gods, we're just beings with this special power, and it's
Yeah.
not like they can't be killed. They can't, with a certain amount of overwhelming force, they can be taken out.
Well,
So
yeah, and that's the thing because in episodes 1 through 3, well, episodes 2 and 3, I apologize. Um, in terms of the wars they were battling, those they were frontline guys. I mean, so they were putting themselves ahead of many of the clone troopers. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying godlike, but I mean, at least they're willing, they understand what they're capable of, and they're willing to, like put themselves in front of others in order to help, push things
I
along.
guess for me, this it seems like, since this is an era where the Jedi are prevalent, and I
Hmm.
mean, you can see a Jedi on a street corner or whatever, there should be a lot less mystery, as opposed to further in the future where all you have is rumors and of what they were like,
Yeah.
instead of, hey, there's a Jedi over there having a scone. Go talk to him. Because what are they going to
Right.
say? They're just like, hey, what do you need? So
Right.
anyway, um, so they get going, and so where does that put it? I am so off. This episode frustrated me so bad. I didn't even keep good notes. As a matter of fact, when I got done watching it, I felt like the only person I was not mad at in this episode
Hmm.
was Vernestra.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that looking back. It's funny that I only watched it the one time, and everything's been so fresh. Like it's I'll probably forget in a couple of weeks, but
Okay, well then you're going to have to take the lead on this one because I just those points that I have in my head, I'm just so angry about. It's
uh,
hard to keep track on how we got there. So
um
where do we go after the after
okay, we did kind of miss one particular part in the beginning.
what's that?
And that's after OSHA, which was actually an interesting
Oh,
scene.
that's right.
The helmet comes off, or no, the helmet's on,
On
and then she kind of goes into this trance mode to a point where he could not control it, and I was like,
right.
that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
her witch power had taken
Awakened a
over
little
and put
bit.
it. Yeah,
And so like his struggle to get that thing off, I was just like, okay, okay, there might be something to this. But then right after that, she's just fine. Like he starts saying stuff and she just pops up out of her little trance, ready to defend. Because I think he was like talking crap about, I don't understand why, you're believing in soul and all this stuff. And, like the Jedi aren't all that good. And she was just ready to go. Like, like she wasn't in this, you know,
yeah, trance.
situation prior, just kind of odd. Like, oh, she just comes out of visions just fine, no problem, huh? Like, okay,
Well,
cool,
man,
that's
that's
fine,
what the
sure,
maybe that's what the
hmm,
witches do. Because
yeah,
so I guess I wonder if maybe her exposure in the helmet isn't what like reawakens some of her innate powers because she's doing stuff in this episode that she has not done it through
yeah.
the other 7 episodes before now.
They should
All of
have
a
started.
sudden,
Go ahead, go ahead.
just all of a sudden, you know, she can fight.
Hmm.
I mean, I
Piggybacking on that, um, it's if they had done the helmet thing, maybe starting with the last episode instead of her just contemplating that, going in and out of
right,
this, then that probably, it could have been a buildup. And I think that's one of the bigger issues with the show is that as much as people would have hated it to see 2 more episodes squeezed into here, we could have stretched out some of that stuff and actually had a better fleshed out story. Because mind you,
yeah.
Andor was 12 episodes long, and I'm like, why is it 12? It was worth all 12, I'd say. That's for later on.
Yeah,
But but
another
um
time. Hint,
but
hint.
either way, yeah, at least 2 more episodes would have they could have moved some things around, stretched some things, squished some things, and we probably would have had well, that's a reach on saying we probably would have had a better series,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you know, but there would have been more time for sure. And then let's see here. So then they cut to them preparing to leave whatever planet he's on,
Yeah, the unknown
ocean
planet.
planet, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Um, and so the tide recedes so they can walk across the little
Oh,
barrier thing.
I didn't catch that. Okay.
Yeah. And as they're walking across, we get that um I don't know who that guy is. People have been talking about it
Oh,
online.
yeah, I forgot about that.
But I just had
The
creepy guy was
specter.
hiding in the hole. He was hiding in that hole. And I knew there was something weird about the bed hole. Remember from the like couple episodes ago where she wakes up on the
Yeah.
and then I'm like, what's the purpose of that? So that's where I think that guy was hiding. He was hiding in
Okay.
that weird, and that's just a joke. But either way, it comes into question why they're revealing this guy now, like so late in the season. So I guess that was supposed to be like something to get everyone excited about.
Right.
Who is that?
Yeah, that's your that's your anchor for, hey,
Maybe
we have to
season
do,
two.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Come on, you want to give us more billions of dollars for this.
So,
Yeah,
so I mean, being that it's a Sith thing, I I kind of thought that maybe that was his master or something, and he's just naturally weakening, or I don't know. I got the, you know, okay. So when Star Wars, for me, when Star Wars was first introduced, you had Darth Vader, and so for A New Hope, he was the bad guy, and you had the pseudo bad guy in Tarkin in the Empire, but Darth Vader was the big bad. And so when you get to um, uh, Empire,
hmm
Empire Strikes Back, you're introduced to the Emperor. So, oh, this is the big bad behind the big bad. And so I was thinking maybe that's kind of what they were reaching for. This is the big bad behind our bad guy. But if they follow the Sith rule, why would that bad guy be allowing him to? Ooh, I just had a thought. Uh, why would that bad guy be allowing him to get another Padawan,
yeah,
unless the thought I just had was, remember when in the last episode when all the other witches died, Mom 2 wasn't in the trance with
you're
the other
right.
witches. So I'm
hmm
thinking that's what popped in my head. I'm like, what if that's her? What if she's, embraced the dark side or the witch side or whatever, and she deteriorated, and that's why they've been so focused on trying to get Ocean May. That has to do something with the witches,
That would be
possibly.
interesting. Um,
But
it's actually Darth Plagueis.
oh, what?
Yeah.
That's confirmed?
hmm Yeah. I don't know what relevance. I mean, I feel like you may have a little more knowledge on that, but I don't. I was just like, okay, where's that guy been this whole time?
So plague,
Plagueis.
yeah, plague is.
Plagueis. Or, I'm not sure. Maybe.
I've listened to the story, and so Plagueis, if I remember correctly, was when all the Sith were like killing each other off.
hmm
I I can't I think he was the inventor of the rule of two. Like you had all these Sith running around, so the Sith organization was basically just like the Jedi organization until they decided he was the one that came up with the rule of two, and there can only be the master and the Padawan. If I don't know, I don't follow the Sith that much, but
Right.
if they were going to introduce a character that iconic to the lore, why would you do it in this show? I'm like, I mean, maybe the
Okay.
story's already written and it was too late. They're just like, oh
Yeah.
well.
Well, I think that's them trying to, you know, give a little nod to the Star Wars fans
The
who
the
weren't
legends.
weren't brought in on the general audience. That's kind of like, hey, like we did this for you.
Yeah, but
I don't. I like you
s-
did.
stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
But it was like, just a cool couple of seconds. Um, then after as they're walking across the little rockway to the ship, she makes a deal with um I'm blanking.
Kymel,
Timer. She makes a deal
Kymer,
with
yeah,
him
Kymer.
and she goes, you're reasonable, and you made a deal with my sister, and so, you're gonna keep this deal with me. And I thought that was kind of interesting, even though you know, it's like, do you really want to make a deal with this guy? I don't know if
Right,
that's the right
right.
move. He's been trying to manipulate you since he
Well,
met
okay,
you.
yeah. So, okay, that's the other part we missed. When she had the helmet on, she
hmm
she revealed she saw May with the lightsaber killing um Soul,
Right.
and she
She
she knows
does.
where they are. And yeah,
Yeah.
and he's just
She
like,
does
so
kill without.
yeah, she can't.
Oh.
She does have the power to kill. I'm like, so does that mean you don't?
Wouldn't wouldn't that have made, because she already has that ability to use the force, wouldn't it have made more sense to train her to better control that kind of stuff instead of, allowing her to
Well,
just
okay.
throw knives and whatnot and kicks and flips and stuff?
I think I think they were going for that was like a power that you had to earn your way up to, but I get the impression because he kept talking about he doesn't even know until till I don't know. I don't know where he was going with that, but there has to be some reason why didn't you just do it? You know.
Right.
So okay, so they get in the ship and they're off to Brenda because she says, "I know where they are. I'm not going to tell you where they are, but
Yes.
you know, whoever gets there first, because he's trying to still kill her, maybe, and
Or at
Osha's
least get
trying to
to her
save
to,
her. Yeah,
yeah,
so
or at
so
least
it's
get
a
to her to,
race, the race to Osha,
right.
basically.
I did like that though. It started on Brendock, it ends on Brendock. That's
Yeah,
very movie
yeah.
scenario to,
Okay.
cycle back. So I thought that was kind of pretty standard. Pretty
Yeah, yeah.
standard.
Well, okay, okay. Soul. We're back on Brendock, and
Mm-hmm.
Soul goes to back to the Coven's the mine or
Yeah.
whatever. So I don't. It didn't show how he got up
I
there.
was just
So
thinking that he wanted to climb
he,
that wall one
he
more
had to have
time from
climbed
good
it
old side.
again. I'm like,
Yeah.
uh,
Here we go
okay.
again.
So at least they didn't show. At least they didn't
Right.
show.
Yeah.
But when May gets there, okay. So May climbs as no, yeah, May climbs as well because it showed her, her hands coming up, and so she climbed, but she climbed from the inside. Which okay,
I already know. I
okay,
already know.
okay,
Yeah, please continue with, yeah, if you want to. You don't have to, but
okay.
mhm.
But he's walking around this compound, May, May. I'm just like, dude, what is your deal?
Yeah.
But he's also getting flashbacks. I think, and I want to say it's through the Force. It's not
Yeah.
just
He's
he's
coming
having
to
these memories.
terms with all these
The
decisions made.
right. So he finally he finally come. Oh, so as he's walking down the thing to find May, now May hears him yelling,
Mm-hmm.
and so she but before he can go find her, that's when Keimer shows up,
Yeah.
and he's just like,
Thank you for leading me to her.
and so the lightsaber battle ensues.
It
So
was a good one too.
yes, it was.
My
It was
goodness.
good. However,
Mm-hmm.
it was very referential because so that for the hallway fight, they're having the fight in the hallway, which is very reminiscent of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker
Mm-hmm.
in Cloud City at Bespin.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
agree.
they're kind of in that narrow hall, and then they were in that open channel. It was just like the
Yeah.
bridge, and they're fighting in there. And at one point, they run the lightsaber down like the side of the thing. I'm like, they're gonna cut that thing in half and drop. But the part that I knew was just like, oh, this is gonna get real good is when they went out the side
Mm-hmm.
and they did that kind of slow
That
motion
crouching
drop.
tiger, hidden
Oh yeah,
dragon
I
jump.
was just
Yeah.
like, oh, this is getting ready to get
I
good.
was seeing some stuff online about that, and Soul's actor, in terms of like that choreography, he is so fast. And the only reason why I'm pointing that out is because I was watching reference videos from episode 1, where they
Mhm.
were talking about how their techniques for the saber fights were like old techniques would have been, you would speed it up.
Right.
But for episode 1, they actually had to slow it down because they were so fast. So I'm
Oh yeah.
watching Soul and Keimer fight, and it was because I'm really interested in how like it because I just get so tired of the saber just they're just throwing it around, and there's no
There's
skill
no
to it.
sword play.
Yeah.
Sword
And so
play.
to see these two go at it, I was so impressed. It was really good. And then he does
Yeah.
the thing where he doesn't break, but his sword
Yeah.
breaks into two
Severance.
parts.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a little mini saber, I thought that was just kind of cool.
But the one that got me was when he throws both sabers at him, and he and then he's running at him as well, and Soul just like turns his lightsaber off and just poof, and just
Yeah.
knocks the ones go flying somewhere else out of the way, and it pushes Keimer back, and it's just like, okay, Soul's a bad dude.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
it's just such a shame that he has all this greatness in him, but
Hmm.
yet he's so flawed. They make him
Yeah.
so flawed
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There was something else about that scene. Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, I'm really impressed with how they handled the choreography for that particular scene. I wouldn't change a thing for
Well,
that.
right.
For that.
So you at the same time you have May and Osha running into each other. They meet up in the room where she was, where the fire started, and they have their confrontation, and we learn now that Osha said that she failed.
Hmm.
Well, she says she failed because she could never get over her anger, her dark anger from the hatred of her sister for killing her family,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, where's this coming from? I mean, it seems like if she had that much anger, we would have seen that before now. And finally, and May's trying to tell her, like, hey, Soul lied to you, and
Hmm.
she's trying to just get her to tell the truth. She's trying to tell her the truth. So this was supposed to be the bait and switch. The bait and switch began when they swapped places,
Hmm.
right? And so now the good twin, which was supposed to be Osha, is wearing black, and the bad twin is wearing Osha's old clothes, which were white.
Right.
And so at this point, we see that Osha
That's a
has
good
the darkness
point.
in her, whereas May, everything she is doing and has done has been out of love.
I
And
didn't
so,
see it like that until
well,
okay, that's pretty interesting.
so that's when that fight begins, and because
Ugh.
Osha just all of a sudden she's just like, and she like attacks her, and all of a sudden she has all these fighting skills. Now
Yeah.
the one thing that we find out later that they were one person that was somehow split into two. And if you look at their fighting, at one point they're doing the exact same fighting styles against each other. As a matter of
Yes.
fact, in one of the switches, they both kick at the same time, and then they switch over to the lightsabers.
Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
interesting.
they do a kick, and then it goes from the kick to Soul and Keimer's lightsaber battle.
And I'm glad we're transitioning back to that for a second. I love oh, I did write that down. The beautiful transition. That really was. You're absolutely
Yeah,
right. Um Keimer's saber retrieval is on point. Like every moment he lost that thing, shoo, right back in
yeah,
his
yeah.
hands. I'm like, dude, like you must have been training on that specifically.
Yeah, but
Um, and
and
I can't blame him.
but do you notice the difference Soul is just very, he puts his thing away, and and he comes back. Whereas as Keimer's just like, and it's like, go. So, and that's usually how they do the difference between the light side, the dark side, controlled and anger. But they
Perhaps I'm I've just been I've seen like The Matrix when that came out,
mhm,
and the making of, and we see all the training that they put into the fight choreography. It's there have been plenty other movies in between that time that have done it very well, but I'm noticing a running theme in certain shows and quite possibly some movies where the fighting is very stiff. Like to the point where you can like if you were to play this in slow motion, you could almost count like they're counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Like they're just like
yeah,
it's so direct that it honestly takes me out of like you guys are just following. Like
you're
it's
just doing a
not
pattern.
it's not
Yeah,
loose, and
yeah.
so there was that which I'm just getting
And
tired of
are you,
seeing. I would like to see more actors put a little more effort, or maybe it's on the behalf of the producer. I'm not necessarily blaming the fight choreographer, but there are people out there who kind of train you to, okay, we've learned all the steps. Now we're
yeah,
going to mix it up just a little bit so it doesn't look like that.
yeah, right, right.
But also I was watching for because this is one actress playing herself twice, so I was really intrigued as to okay, so we're also filming the other actress, and I was looking for it, kind of thanks to you because I grew up watching making ofs
Right,
of a lot of
right.
stuff, and one particular memory is finding that wire guy in the Charlie's Angels movie. I think that was what set the tone. Like
Oh,
I go hunting for little goofy things like that. But every chance I could get, because I tried to do it without pausing it. I was trying to see how well the other actress's face would show up,
oh, yeah.
And there was a few times where it was just like, ooh, yeah, this didn't, maybe,
Eh,
because they're banking on you, all happening so fast, you're not going to notice, but like
right,
I'm looking, so. And that's kind of a part of it why, with the stiffness and then that, I mean, the fighting wasn't terrible. It just wasn't great to me.
right.
So,
And
that was a rough
maybe,
watch.
yeah, maybe fighting just isn't their strong suit. So, okay, so while they were fighting,
Hmm.
but while both groups were fighting, we had on Coruscant. Okay, before Soul left his ship, he turns his transponder on. So
Yes.
while Vanestra was talking to someone else, her Padawan comes in and is just like, he said, "We found Master Soul." I'm like, no, you didn't. You didn't find nothing. I'm just
You
like,
looked at a screen.
yeah.
Oh, you
What?
noticed.
You should have walked in and said, "Master Soul turned on his transponder. We know where he is." Not, "We
Yeah.
found him." You didn't. That dude.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Anyway,
The writing
uh,
isn't great, but yes.
so she says, "Gather as many Jedi as you can to without suspicion and prepare my ship. We're going to Brindock or whatever." So, in the midst of both these two fights going on, they arrive. You see their ship go in the
Yeah.
background, and Soul is saying, "Now you're going to pay for your crimes to Keimer," and he's like, "Oh, they're not here for me." I'm just like, hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like he knew and had this planned all along. And then May and Soul, they look up into the hole in the roof. Their
Yeah.
rain come
The
through.
convenient, very
Yeah.
convenient. Yeah.
Um, and they see the Jedi are there. So I don't know how May does it, but Osha's looking
She
up,
got Batman.
and then she's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah, just like Batman and
The
Commissioner
one
Gordon.
one thing that got me was May climbed in. OSHA had to fix the elevator to open the door to get in. Okay.
Hmm.
So that thing's been powered up and waiting for somebody to open the door for 16 years.
That's a big point a lot of people were griping
I'm like,
about. Like, oh, everything's just
really?
still working and ready to go and doesn't degrade as bad, just a little rust, you
Yeah.
know.
No
maybe
one,
a sticky button.
right, and no one else has come in and said, "Hey, look at this perfectly good place we can live in."
Right. Right.
So, yeah, so there was
Place has
that,
got some weird energy though.
right? So this is where another
Mm.
point of content. Go ahead.
I
You
think I
had
know where you're going. I might
okay.
have. I'm looking at my note, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna say it.
So you've got the fight, and it gets really intense, and Soul takes out Keimer's lightsaber, right?
Hmm.
And that's and then what May shows up. Oh, what happened? May fighting him? Or they were, but they were, at least they were talking, and she May basically baits him into admitting that he killed their mom. Um and
Yeah, the
and
overheard
OSHA,
truth trope.
right, and then OSHA,
Ugh,
is,
I'm
is
so
it
tired of
true?
that. Yes, that line, right? That line. Ugh, I'm just sick of it. We need to stop doing that. Just ugh, no more. Um, and then that also had me question, um, are sabers easily broken? But I was watching a few videos on behalf of the fat lightsabers
Hmm.
thing that you had been complaining about in previous episode, and there's actually a good video about that on YouTube where he talks about the whys, and one of the reasons is it's possible that it's older tech, and so they haven't figured out the way to
Okay.
make them smaller. And so that's probably why they're so big and why they're
Okay,
so
that
easily
makes sense.
broken. Because I mean, like we've seen lightsabers get dropped and all kinds of stuff thrown
Okay.
off, and then this one just falls off, hits some rocks, and then the crystal just you know
Okay.
falls out of
But
place.
they did that for a reason.
Okay,
And here's the other part of my frustration.
all
Okay.
right.
So, when at some point, okay, a lightsaber is powered by a kyber crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a Padawan, it's part of their journey as they go to the caves on the planet. They find the crystal because the crystal actually, everyone's crystal speaks to them, and they,
Yeah,
they get their crystal, and then that's how they make their lightsaber. So, one of the things I don't remember when it happened or what story it was, because I just assumed, red lightsabers, they did the same thing. They went and got them one, and it was red because they're bad guys.
mm-hmm.
So somewhere along the line, there was a story that the way the way the Sith got their lightsabers was to take a good Jedi's or a Jedi's lightsaber, and you have to bleed it. Okay, you have to basically break it and make it. With I don't know. I don't think they ever really discussed the process of doing it, but it's called bleeding a crystal.
I
So it's changing it
recall.
from whatever to the blood red, which is why the lightsabers are red.
Okay, I recall seeing something about Luke's lightsaber in Return of the Jedi isn't standard and kind of frowned upon because he used a technique that the Jedi normally don't use in order to make it that green. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, see, I don't know about that, but at the same time, Luke didn't have anyone to teach him.
Hmm.
So anything Luke did it's just like,
Just
okay,
straight up tinkering.
it's not like he had a holocron telling him, okay, now you need to go over to the planet. Well, he didn't have
Yeah,
anything. It's,
Galactitube.
you know, well, I guess he did have Yoda per se, but
Yeah.
and there is a actual cut scene of that was supposed to be in Return of the Jedi, which shows Luke in the cave making his lightsaber. It's
Yeah,
out
I
there.
remember that. That's not in.
It's
Is
not in
that?
the movie. It's
Oh,
it's
I must
like
have watched that. You must have been watching that, and
uh,
I don't know,
possibly. I think I've
but
seen
I
it one
remember that
time.
scene. Yeah.
I think I've seen it once, but my frustration is okay. we get two things at once. We
Mhm.
get the bleeding a lightsaber crystal for one, and to me, it feels like it happened completely by accident. She just happened to have the lightsaber in her hand, and she was angry with Soul, and he was just like, "I did it for you," and he's hanging on to, "I was in the right. I did,
I did
dude.
it because
No,
I
you
love.
weren't. Yeah, yeah. I
I
love
love.
right." And she's like,
Don't.
"Stop
Yeah.
talking." I'm just like, so you're telling me the force choke was created with a stop talking? No,
Mm.
no, no. Bleeding a crystal was done completely by accident? No. To me, this is it's a rite of passage for a Sith, and it's something that had to be taught. It's a ritual. You don't just happen upon it. And
That's a
so
good
that's where
point. I
it
like that.
frustrates me. These writers have no idea what they're talking about. They're just I was so done
Well, yeah,
when
they're cherry picking.
yeah,
And they're like, this would look
they're
cool.
taking
And that, well, it's like sitting around with your friends talking about goofy stuff until you actually have a general concept of the thing. You're just kind of shooting ideas out in the air and kind of seeing what sticks. So I could see why you're upset, with that. It was
but
odd.
it continues
No.
because so now he's dead. Okay.
Mhm.
Soul is dead. The girl's like, we got to get out of here. And um Keimer, he disappears. He jets off. The other Jedi land, and
They start to show
yeah,
up.
Vernestra's just like, like she feels something, but or at that point, does she say you or you're still alive, right?
Yeah, that kind of messed me up a little bit.
And I'm
I
just
was
like,
like,
well,
okay, this is
yeah, but
interesting. That
again,
scar on his back is really interesting.
but yet, oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Dang it. Okay. Is it
So,
interesting enough for a season two? I think not.
no,
Okay.
no.
But these are the things that are supposed to be pulling you in. So
Hmm.
okay, so she knows them. Oh, and then they get to the fortress and she's just like using the force to get them in.
Yeah,
Um
I liked how I really like how her power works. Like she can kind of go to a scene and
and
get
yeah,
a sense.
she a
That's what should,
force aura. Yeah.
yeah, that's what we could have been building on. I mean, and I understand why they didn't pull into more scenes because literally she just walk in and know exactly what's going on, and then there's
Right.
no room for us to figure that out. So, you know,
Yeah.
I guess we used or they used Vanestra just enough, but
Yes, they did, but it took us to episode 8 to figure out she was why she was why she was for a reason.
yeah.
So okay, so the girls they go like, we got to get out of here. I'm like, well, how are we gonna? We need to climb down here, and so they're
Yes.
climbed down, and then and I'm like,
They show the clip
no.
down. I know, right? I'd be done.
Well,
Sorry.
okay. My problem is I got
Oh,
sucked
you
into
did
this
this?
tunnel.
You
Well,
did this
no,
when you were young?
no,
Yeah.
that, but so did you not catch the fact that she fell down a hole and got sucked in a tunnel? Just like Luke Skywalker when he dropped into the thing where he's just like, join me, and I'll
Yeah.
never, and he goes, and then he gets sucked into the tube. She gets sucked into the tube. I was like, oh my God, just stop.
It
You
didn't feel
know,
like homage to you?
oh, it was absolutely homage.
Well, appreciated homage, I should say.
It was not appreciated. It was a straight off rip. You
Yeah.
know what it was? It was, huh? Look what we're doing. And I'm just like,
I was just so
need to stop.
dumbfounded by the whole scaling the rock wall thing that that
Yeah.
must have went over my head. I'm like,
They spent
no, I'm not climbing that. We're gonna find a different way down.
they spent a lot of time climbing them damn walls. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah, they're really good at that. It's
so
crazy.
so but to your point, she goes, as a kid, you did this as a kid? Well, what did you do next? She goes running to the tree. you know,
Yes.
and
Back
Kymer's
to the
there and he's
tree. That's
just
what I
like,
have.
hey,
Yeah.
okay. So Kymer's just like, if I can find you, the Jedi can find you. But here's so Vernestra, the one interesting thing is, she's feeling the area out, and Kymer's actually up there in the corner watching her. She leans down to Soul, and she like leans over and kind of whispers something to him or whatever. And then she looks up and he's gone, right? But she sent she's got like 15 Jedi with her, and she's just like, you two go there, set me up a 5-meter perimeter, and they're looking for them. And she's like, use the tracker. So they find some backpack. I don't know where they found this backpack that they just assumed that, I guess it really didn't matter. Either one of the girls, they were assuming they were together.
Yeah.
And and there's Basil off the
Right.
track. I don't know why when they were running away through the woods, my first thought was, oh, look, Hogwarts is having a field trip.
Yeah.
It just looked like, I'm just like, whatever. But they have their moment where Osha's just like, okay, she kept telling Kyber, no, I won't join you. No, I won't join you. And finally, like, you let my sister go, I will join you. And he makes her forget. He raises her entire life back to when she was 8 years old. Uh, it, I, and they did the "I am with you, you were that" thing,
And it fades off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I, all they needed
Right.
was drool at
Yeah.
that point. You're under arrest. What did I do?
Right.
Like, okay. So they get back to Coruscant. Everybody, they get back to Coruscant, and Vernestra brings the um,
Man.
May in and kind of fields her out, and she finds out that she's got nothing.
Yeah.
And then they go into the council oversight committee, and she's explaining to them that they were, oh, okay, that was the one time she slipped in the earlier conversation with the senator, and she goes, I'm investigating, I hear you're investigating a murder or a death or whatever. And she says, well, there were several Jedi. He's like, bodies, several. And she was just like, I messed up. I gave him too much information. So now we're here at the end, and she tries to explain that, okay, here's what happened, and something, they found some witches, there a battle ensued, and these 4 Jedi were a part of it. When they thought they were going to be discovered, one Jedi went rogue and killed all the others, and then killed
I
himself.
did not like that at
Yeah, I
all.
mean,
I
so
was so disappointed. Just what a
me
way to throw him under the bus.
me too. It's just like,
That's why she leaned in and was like, I'm sorry, my
oh,
friend.
right, and so yeah,
I'm
we see
totally gonna
that,
throw you
yeah,
under the bus.
right.
Please don't be mad at me.
But I mean, to a certain degree, after all the lies that he had told, he would understand, But it's just the one lie has perpetuated another lie.
Yeah.
One cover up has perpetuated another cover up. So some people might say, well, that's what he deserved, or rightly so, or he killed the witch, and
I
I
don't
did not like it. I did
I
not.
agree with you from previous episodes where you were saying that they're trying to make the Jedi the bad guys, or at
Yeah,
least give
and
us
they
that premise.
absolutely did
And I
that.
think that's what they fit into this, and it's like they were trying to gain control over our perception or our concept of what we consider how they convey emotion.
Yeah,
And we can say that Soul is the extreme in that scenario. Like, I'm not used to seeing a Jedi next to Anakin. He's the only one who's just been so like caught up
emotionally
on something that
unstable.
he
Yeah,
can't, he just cannot. I mean, of course he can stay on task, but outside of that, he's just a loose cannon. And I would say that throughout the series, Soul has kept his composure until this all started coming back at, and when, and it's like, great,
Well,
now I gotta.
but I guess my problem with it is that for me, that everything, all the things, all the things that Soul was are a lie because
Hmm.
he was because he did this bad thing, he became this really good guy based on it.
Yeah.
And
I still
then
blame Torben. He's really the
exactly.
cause of all this. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, yeah, Soul would, but
But I guess they didn't
oof.
explain what was his obsession with the virgins. It just there
Yeah.
there's no through line there. I don't understand why that was such an obsession with him. Okay, so you proved divergence. Now what?
Yeah. I mean, considering what the virgins can create, it's like, is that something you guys want to control or you just want to
Well,
understand?
well,
But you
that's
do
all
make a good point, and I think that they just needed a concept. I'm talking about the writers and perhaps the producer. They just needed a concept that they could bite off of and use, but because they don't, they weren't expecting us to question it this far. But I do find that to be really interesting. Like, how did we get to this point? You know, if these witches came up and fostered a power like this, yeah, I'd really like to get educated on that. That's really interesting. Other attributes from the Star Wars series would have at least touched on it, but they're so used to just pushing past things in order to get it
they
done.
right.
And
Well, I
yeah,
I, I think they went going with the Sith is the safe route.
yeah,
They 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 didn't have the intestinal fortitude to go, we're sticking with the witches. The story is with the witches.
hmm.
Because everyone else we already know the story of the Sith. We
And there's a
do.
lot that could have been like you that whole witch concept could have been heavily used for this show, and a little bit of the Sith, but just to kind of go into it seems like they're desperate to show that the Jedi have flaws. That's
Yes. Yeah.
fine. It doesn't need to be the forefront of this show because it's not particularly about a flawed Jedi so much as it is about this interesting coven of witches who can do all
Right.
these amazing things that that would have actually helped um have a beginning phase, not necessarily with the witches of
Dathomir.
Dathomir, but it definitely would have been like a nod to two spectrums from
Yeah.
two different points in history to where we're like, okay, these aren't them, but
This is yes,
this is what
yes.
they can do. So when we see, because the Witches of Dathomir in Ahsoka were doing some crazy stuff,
Yeah.
freaking zombie
Yep.
troopers,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're pulling out swords, magical swords, you know, passing on
Then
powers, which is
you
exactly what they did for that one lady. Like she came all that way. They put the power in
yes,
her.
yeah.
It's like this is interesting. Like this is what people actually want to see. Like it doesn't always have to be about. We know Sith are bad. We know
Well,
Jedi's are good. We're
I
not
have
trying to blur it.
some homework for you then.
Okay,
If you want to learn a little bit more about the witches, look up the Clone Wars episodes about Mother Talzin. That's
I'm writing that down.
that's th- that whole storyline is just fantastic, and
Cool.
that's the thing. That's where they could have gone with this, and they chose the Sith. And then on top of everything else, when you
Hmm.
thought it couldn't get any worse, you have Master Vanessa going, Master, we need to talk. And you can see the back of Yoda's head. I'm like, okay, I'm
uh,
I'm done. And
So
then,
he was her pupil. I'm just guessing that he was because he did say he served under a master.
yes, yeah. Well, I mean,
And so
yes, because she said to somewhere she says something about that. She needs to talk about one of her pupils or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
So, but she says she thought he was dead and he had gone bad. So we don't know what the scenario was there. And
It sounds like a reach for a season 2. All these
yes, it does.
open-ended areas are like, come on,
But see,
just give us the money.
but see, that's the way they've been doing these.
I agree.
From the way I have seen, it's just like let's
Yeah.
throw as many things in the story on the walls as we can, so that that's going to be our anchor to get to season 2. Well, we got to answer this story and this story and this story and this story and this story, and I'm just like, how about this? How about trying telling one good story to begin with?
That is the
How
same
about that?
argument many
So
people have on behalf of when someone takes an adaptation. Uh Halo franchise was just got canceled, same thing. You can't have uh we the fans have seen Master Chief helmet on.
the whole yeah.
You can't just be like, "Oh, I can't do my acting with the helmet on." You know so little, sir.
Right.
Um,
Well,
but that's just been a long-standing problem with a lot of these franchises is that they think that, they can take on what they want and mold it into something else. And it's, sometimes sticking to what
to
is
stick to the source material.
good, and that's been Disney's problem for a long time. I mean, episode 7, 8, 9, like to them, they took a little bit of George Lucas's notes and then they ran with what they wanted to, and that's what we got, which is a
Yeah.
story. I don't think it was a great story,
No, it wasn't.
but
Because the biggest problem with those stories is they took the core characters, the characters that started the whole thing, and they
Mhm.
threw them in the trash, and they treated them like crap.
Yeah,
What they did to Luke Skywalker in that story was an atrocity.
I
So
there's a
I know
video
that
I was
that's a
watching about
strong
that. To some, I would say that because the Luke Skywalker that I wanted, which
yeah.
is Dark Empire
Dark
Luke.
Empire.
And so, one particular video I was watching a couple of weeks ago, it was talking about basically we got instead of getting the Legends Luke, which we would have seen him go down, a set path, which ultimately would have led to some good. In the end, we got to see a different type of Luke where he's a lot more
Yeah, he
humanized
went.
in what's
Yeah,
happened, and that's what we got. And I'm just not satisfied with that. I mean, I
right.
understand
Oh, nobody
it's an
is.
interesting
Nobody
angle,
is.
and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but that's where the defining line for me comes as far as the franchise goes. Is that's where it splits between Legends and uh, uh, canon
Canon.
for me.
Yeah.
That is literally the defining line. I just think that if people understood what we could have gotten with the Dark Empire angle and leading into whatever else happened, which we got the Mandalorian, so we could, like we got that stuff going on. There's just a lot more room than the 7, 8, 9 that we received. And I actually had a question for you
Okay.
as far as your thoughts on Mace training versus um Ray.
Oh.
Ray,
Ooh.
yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're going toe to toe. I'm just saying like what they know starting off versus how it ended.
Okay. So I kind of thought about that because this kind of shines a light on that.
Hmm.
You have OSHA, who actually had some training as a Jedi
Right.
and walked away from it. You have May, who has been training all these years to fight. So anything they do is understandable.
Hmm.
And I think you were the person that introduced me to the story, the term Mary Sue.
Yes.
I
Yes.
had I had never heard that term before. It didn't mean anything to me until after this. Once I'm just like, oh, she's been training, and then you look at Ram going, well, she came on the game quick.
Yeah.
Just like she went from scavenging inside a ship to wielding a lightsaber, and
And
just like that.
both spectrums have a lot of power,
Yeah.
you know, behind them. And that's
I
Yeah.
It it it
It's easier to contrast, I'd say. Um, would I'd rather watch ooh, this is a tough one. Would I rather watch another Star Wars movie featuring Rey, which there should be one coming up.
Yeah,
Could have
I think there's
sworn I
something.
like some yeah,
Yes,
there
yes,
yeah,
there
I
is.
yeah. So I'm because I'm gonna have to watch it. But if that weren't a thing, it's a question of whether I rather watch another one of those or another season of this show.
Okay. I would take another movie with Ray
Ooh,
in a
okay. It
heartbeat.
depends on what
I
yeah.
really would
At
because
least that's
there's
2 hours of your time that.
right. Well, okay. The reason I say that is I think there's stuff that could be redeemed in there. I think if you just take it to where maybe she so what? Okay, so they Mary suit her into the skills that she has. Now you have the base of a good character who has seen both the light and the dark, and she's going to start the Jedi Academy or whatever.
Hmm.
Because the struggle isn't over. Well, yeah, the struggle isn't necessarily over. The bad guys are still out there. It's just the real bad guys are gone. I'm always going to vote for a story with a Jedi in it. I like the Jedi.
At the forefront, yeah,
Yeah, I
trying
mean
to
it's just
the
like
rat race. I love the rat race. That comes up a lot in Star Wars films. We got to get to the thing before,
you're
you know.
right. Yeah, get the bomb to the monster.
Yeah,
Which is why I like what I'm getting from the High Republic stories. I'm getting the stories about the Jedi in their heyday. Yes, some of these characters are flawed because they are still, well, for lack of a
still
better term,
new.
human.
Yeah,
I mean, they're beings and they have emotions and they're show them fighting the emotions, but it doesn't go to the extreme that this did.
yeah,
I like that. I like where they're going with this, and the enemy that they're fighting the Nihil, and they're a formidable foe. So it's not like they're just going through the galaxy and just cutting people down with their lightsabers and taking control like the senator is afraid of. So yeah, give me. I think Ray is fixable,
yeah.
but we might have to gloss over some of the stuff we said.
I mean, I feel like I did that for the three films.
Yeah.
I've been having to let go of the fact that there is a very elegant style of dueling with the sabers in episodes 2 and 3, and and in 4, 5, and 6. And everything outside of that is just people hacking around. And I have so much respect for Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Um, man, like it just seems like that he was just meant to do that, like the way that the amount of training that was put into ensuring, they were smacking because they didn't have hilts
Yeah.
on those things. They're smacking knuckles and stuff, like just trying to get this all right. And I just think that's just I would really like to see a little more grace and a little
Oh,
less
yeah.
hacking around. So that's just my issue. Um,
Well,
I was impressed with the first fight between Ray and Kylo Ren in episode 7. I liked it. Um, Now the saber fight in episode 9, it
yeah.
was all
There,
right.
there's a lot going on, but again, this is another situation where we were finally getting Star Wars after such a long period, and like the hacking. I mean, just the nature of Kylo Ren's blade is with the side
Oh yeah,
pieces coming.
overpowered.
Yeah,
You
the way it
know.
sounds, that's a hacking weapon. That is not a
Oh yeah, for
finesse.
sure, most definitely.
So it kind of makes sense uh,
If
for the first movie,
yeah,
you know.
yes, you're right for the first movie. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
But
I'd
once
agree.
we find out once he finds out that she's a formidable foe and everything
Hmm.
else, then you have to change the game. But
And
that's a whole.
my on the only point, the reason, well, part of why I'm saying that is because when we were in Tennessee, episode 9 was on. Michaela and I were watching it, and it got to that scene where they're in the room with Snoke, and
Mhm.
you got the red guards everywhere, and like it was just a rough watch. It was just,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, man, that's how, because I'd seen it before, but when you see it a while later, you're just like, it still isn't moving me.
Yeah,
All
right,
right.
right. Yeah.
My last note on behalf of Acolyte episode 8, Acolyte, is they tried to push the Power of Many song at the
Oh,
end.
yeah.
How dare you,
Okay,
Disney?
okay. Here's
You
the
should have
funny.
did that on episode 7. You should have swapped the 2 songs, and it should have ended with Twin Flames, and I would have been pleased.
Okay, you know what? That actually makes sense. Had they done that, because I wasn't happy with that song at the end of episode 7. I'm just like, why is there singing? What? I feel like they've been doing that too often, where they're trying to modernize it. But
Mhm.
yeah, the power one. So okay, so the first time I watched it, I was so frustrated. As soon as the credits rolled, I turned it off.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
so
normally what I do.
so
Yeah.
what happened this time was we were getting ready to do this. So I just got up and I was going to fix myself something to eat. And I'm
Oh,
in the kitchen
no.
and I hear from the other room, the power of what? I'm just like, oh, dear God, they did. Why?
Yeah, scrub that, burn it. No. No,
So
Disney.
I think a lot of people have been commenting on that too. It's just like, it's just so bad. It's so bad.
Did you see that meme I sent you about Vader talking to Luke? He's like, the power of one.
No, I did
Oh
not.
yeah. Yeah, look that up. It's good. I think they used AI to alter, the lines for that part, but that's a solid joke right there. I think you'll like it a lot. Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, I guess uh, we're at the end of this. Then there's
Yeah.
nothing. I guess there's a part of me that feels like I should say thank God.
A lot of people are. Yeah.
So,
A
but
lot of
hey,
people
if
are.
nothing else, we we had a lot of fun getting here.
Right.
We had a lot of fun getting here. So, I guess my question is, where do you want to go next?
Definitely Andor, talking about
You
Andor.
definitely want to do Andor?
There's a
Okay.
lot to discuss, and I don't care that it's already everybody already talked about it. We have our own angle of things that we like to talk about, and we like to
Okay.
we feed into. I have quite a few questions actually that I can come up with for you, so
Well,
that'll be fun.
you're gonna have to, like I said, you're gonna have to lead on this one a
Yeah.
little bit because Andor was not my favorite. It is
I
absolute.
loved it so
Okay,
much.
I will have to say because I wasn't a fan of the political angle. Before this, Andor
Mhm.
was probably at the bottom of my Star Wars watching. It has been
Ouch.
replaced.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, I think that'll be
so
fun.
Andor it is. All right. So I guess the next time you see us, we're going to start on Andor episode 1. And we'd really appreciate it if you joined us uh, with this. Now that we're at the finale, what are your thoughts on The Acolyte? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Where are you? Tell us. We
Please
really,
comment
really
below.
want to hear.
Yeah, we'd love to.
So for Media and More, this has been the final episode of The Acolyte. And I guess we'll see you next time. Pew 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 pew.